This is your WW3 news. It's not exactly you. I cover the main events of the hour regarding the build up to this conflict which is going to explode. But the small things which are happening around the world, in Europe especially, is a part of the jigsaw puzzle. Now, Poland, they have passed a law which gives the military authorities to seize land for military purposes. But you would have said, no, this is only possible in war times when they pass special, powers granted to one person, and that person, which is a prime minister or lead or whatever, to bypass Parliament and all that red tape. He assumes command, basically. And then what they say in Italian, it's got carta bianca. And therefore, the Polish military will be able to seize private property for military use without going through the due process, the civil process regarding these things. And therefore, the owner of this property can't call the shots. It'll be a public negotiator which will establish how much it's worth, which is practically peanuts. And there you are. And this is in the area where Ukraine and Poland has got the border, amazingly enough. So they will be building up their so-called invasion force to going into Ukraine to fight Russia, because it's only next door probably. And the General Capron of Italian Armed Forces saying, we have dwindling numbers of manpower, and regarding the machinery, regarding whether it's air, sea or land. And also Costa, which is the Minister of Defence here in Italy, said, we're not ready to fight a war with Russia. But meanwhile, you managed to send two Eurostar fighters in Poland, part of the so-called NATO mission to fight Russia. Basically, they were the ones which intercept these drones, get scrambled. And strange enough, here in Italy, it's not in secret, they mentioned they have reintroduced military service. It's not to discipline young hooligans, it's to draft them for a war. Because 20 years ago, they had suspended because it was a costly thing. There was no enemies, which Italy has to face, and it was a costly operation. And in Italy, it was all based on volunteers who wanted to do the military as a profession. Now, that's not enough, judging by the numbers. So it's a good excuse for them to draft people when the ship breaks out. All the legislation's there. They're preparing the people, in a psychological way. All they need now is NATO, is a false flag event, or what I call Pearl Harbor event. Pearl Harbor event I refer to is the Americans knew, especially the politicians, the Japanese were going to attack Pearl Harbor in advance, weeks in advance. And obviously the so-called military intelligence at that time did inform the American president. He ignored it. And he sacrificed Pearl Harbor, all those warships and men, to declare war on Japan. And this is typical of the West and Americans after the war, the Vietnam War. They attacked a Vietnamese civilian boat, and they say it was a military boat which attacked American forces. Whether it's in territorial water or international waters, who knows? It was probably more like in international waters, and they passed those territorial waters of territorial waters, which should probably attack this vessel, and not say, we were attacked in international waters, therefore we're legitimate declare war on Vietnam, which Nixon was around that time, or probably someone before him, and we can expect more other events regarding the build up to this main event, which when shit hits the fan, probably meanwhile to prepare us psychologically. We have to fight this enemy, which is all more propaganda, which they have done in the past. Probably will use the same type of propaganda, but with different means this time.